Okay. So sorry about that. Not really sure what happened with the Facebook scheduler. So sorry if you signed up to get a reminder, get notified, and it didn't happen. Hopefully, you see this anyway. So you guys are all on my Facebook page, but I'm going to introduce myself anyways. My name is Rachel Kapp, Rachel Kapp Furberg, but I go by Rachel Kapp professionally, and I'm an educational therapist. As an educational therapist, we work one on one with learners who are struggling to be successful autonomously in school, whether that's because of a learning interference, like a learning diagnosis, or medical interference, like ADHD. And so, in my practice, I have a group practice in Beverly Hills, California, but we are working with clients nationally at this point. And we primarily work with students with ADHD and executive functioning issues. And nothing is more challenging than switching over to virtual learning, even though the clients who have been in our practice during this time have actually had a pretty smooth transition. But parents are starting to see some of the challenges that we deal with as educational therapists all the time. So today, what I wanted to share are 3 things that we always do in our practice at the beginning of the year to sort of set students up for success and mitigate the anxiety that always accompanies the start of the year. So the first thing that we always do is we deal with email. So one of the secrets that I want to share with you that you might be surprised to find out is that students have multiple email addresses and they check none of them. So they'll have multiple email addresses. They'll have like a burner email that they'll set up that they then forget the password of to sign up for things like subscriptions or things that they don't want to be spammed by. And then they forget the password or forget that email, and they create a new one. And I've had students in my practice who have upwards of 7 emails. Now, kind of a principle about the work that we do in my practice is we always want to mitigate systems. So there's only one point of action for anything that a learner has to do. So consolidating email, and this includes personal email and school email, so that each student only has one place to check, is actually really, really important. Students don't know to check their email. That becomes part of our every session check-in that we do with all clients is your email dealt with? Dealt with means the email has been opened and a decision has been made as to whether they archive it, delete it, unsubscribe, or respond. And that needs to happen with every email. No thousands of unread emails in their email inboxes. Big fans of Gmail over here, so we always move students over to Gmail. If your learner doesn't have a professional their name at Gmail, highly recommend that you grab that for them. And then I also recommend that you go ahead and delete or archive all old emails, really from about 6 weeks back. There's no reason usually that they're going to need something from the previous school year. And that's a really fast way to mitigate how many emails there are and to help parents who are monitoring their kids' emails, which is a lot of the parents in our practice. We take over that burden, but really we teach learners how to manage and monitor their own emails. Even though it's not their preferred method of communication, it is how schools and jobs and adults are functioning, is through email. And so I always say, if your child is old enough to have an email address, they're old enough to learn healthy email habits. So that's the first secret, is get their email organized and less overwhelming for them. The second secret that we talk about a lot on our podcast, let me go back to the email for 1 second. Stephanie and I will be recording an episode on email management. I have a lot more here that I could have talked about, but only want to make this for 10 minutes. And we have a whole podcast worth of content on email management. We'll be recording that tomorrow, but it's episode 122. So it's probably not going to be coming out for, I would say, a month. But if you have questions about it, definitely let me know, and I'm happy to walk you through it. The second big secret is calendar management. So this is how we talk about a system for organizing time. And this is how all adults function. Steph will always say, I challenge you to go find an adult who does not have a calendar that they're maintaining. So you can only maintain a calendar once you've created a calendar. And we're big fans of Google Calendar in my practice, and I know Stephanie is too. For those who don't know, I have a podcast with Stephanie Pitts, who is a fellow educational therapist in Redondo Beach, California. Her practice is Maya Therapist. And we have been doing this podcast for over 2.5 years at this point. And we have a lot of episodes on email management. I will put them in, calendar management. I will put them in the comments so that they're clickable links and you guys can go back and listen to or scroll back in your podcast app. But establishing a calendar can actually take 2 or 3 sessions. So if you are starting off with an educational therapist or starting off with the school year, anticipate, just like you would do, that your student needs to sit down and fill out their entire calendar for at least the first semester. Usually in my practice, we fill it out for the entire school year. That includes big calendar dates like the school calendar or personal events. And I have a calendar checklist that we use in my practice. Also from the podcast, I'm happy to share that with anybody who wants a checklist of everything that should go on the calendar. And that can take 2 to 3 sessions of just sort of front loading. Hi, Danielle. Just sort of front loading all the work that needs to be in their calendar. It's all the things you guys would need. If there is an event that they are expected to show up for, they need it in their calendar. I always tell my clients, ask me what's happening next in my day. And they'll go, Rachel, what's happening next in your day? And I say, I have no idea, but I will be on time and I will be prepared because my calendar tells me to go there. And pro tip for virtual sessions, especially if you have a student with multiple teachers and multiple Zoom links that they're managing, put the Zoom link into the event that is a repeating event on their calendar. There are ways of importing from almost every school portal their school schedule. And then there's a bunch of stuff that we do in our practice that I don't want to go into all the details of to give them ownership over each event so that they can put the Zoom link in there. But that's what we're talking about creating one point of action that they are then able to go off and do independently on their own. And then in addition to checking their email at every session, we also make sure that their calendar is accurately updated and reflective of what has happened and what will happen. We also include homework on the calendar. Calendaring that's why we have so many episodes, because there's a lot to explain when it comes to running an effective calendar. And I will throw some of those episodes into the comments on this live as well. The third thing that we always do, and the third secret to sort of starting the student off for success at the beginning of a school year, is having a system for organizing their physical things. So what I mean by that, and I'm just going to tell you my philosophy, because I always believe simple organization is best. You do not want to create an organization for physical things that has multiple options of where one particular piece of paper should be. Every client in our practice knows where to go, how to get there, and what they need. And the what they need piece is because we've created simple system for them to not have to make a lot of decisions about, excuse me. Hi, honey, I see you. My husband said hi. He wanted me to shout him out too. So they don't have to make a lot of decisions about where things should be. That means one binder, a divider for each class, and that's it. And if you have questions about how to do this, especially if teachers are requiring different systems for their particular class, reach out to me. There is always a workaround. And we always organized chronologically. There shouldn't be any need to separate notes, tests, homework, none of that. The best natural organizer is chronology, because students remember what happened before and after. It also sets them up for success when they're studying. If they don't have to go to 5 separate sections or 3 different places to find all the things that they need to study, everything is there and in one place. So if you're a learner, thanks. Check out my CAP Educational Therapy mug. If your learner has a binder and a notebook and a folder per class, eliminate that. You're giving them a lot of options of where things could possibly be, and you want one option of where things could possibly be. This is also a really big, important pro tip for if you're in school, because kids forget what they need all the time. They don't plan ahead, but if there's only one binder that they need to bring home, they always bring home that one binder. That is sort of it. Those are sort of the 3 secrets that I wanted to share today. So again, just to review, get the email in order, get their calendar in order, and get their binder in order. And if you have questions about any of this, or you want to outsource this work, feel free to contact me about connecting with one of the members of my team at CAP Educational Therapy Group. Or if you're on my Facebook and you just have a couple of questions about what's going on with your particular learner, I'm really happy to be a resource to you. So thanks for watching.